There is nothing left to fear up here on my own. All at once the air is clear. Then the sun goes down and the light gets low. Feels like I'm losing my mind. Then I hear that sound and away we go. Feels like I'm losing my mind. Looks like tonight that I know I'm gonna be dancing, dancing alone. And like a thief in the night, I pull a random crime. I never know where or when, it's just a matter of time. I'll be back in the darkness and I know I'll be dancing, dancing alone. There is nothing left to fear up here on my own. All at once the air is clear. Just like if you get so low or someone throws a switch, I feel my body rock and then I sample and glitch. Now I have what I need and I can start dancing, dancing alone. I don't need any music, nothing playing along. And I know how it goes, and it's my favorite song. Another shot of depression, and I know I'll be dancing, dancing alone. There is nothing left to fear up here on my own. All at once the air is clear. Then the sun goes down and the light gets low. Feels like I'm losing my mind. Then I hear that sound and away we go. Feels like I'm losing my mind. There is nothing left to fear up here on my own. All at once the air is clear. Then the sun goes down and the light gets low. Feels like I'm losing my mind. Then I hear that sound and away we go. Feels like I'm losing my mind. I feel There is nothing left to fear up here on my own. All at once the air is clear. Then the sun goes down and the light gets low. Feels like I'm losing my mind. Then I hear that sound and away we go. Feels like I'm losing my mind. There is nothing left to fear up here on my own. All at once the air is clear. Then the sun goes down and the light gets low. Feels like I'm losing my mind. Then I hear that sound and away we go. Feels like I'm losing my mind. Looks like tonight that I know I'm gonna be dancing, dancing alone. And like a thief in the night, I pull a random crime. I never know where and when, it's just a matter of time. I'll be back in the darkness and I know I'll be dancing, dancing alone. There is nothing left to fear up here on my own. All at once the air is clear. Just like if you get so low or someone throws a switch, I feel my body rock and then I sample the glitch. Now I have what I need and I can start dancing, dancing alone. I don't need any music, nothing plain alone. And I know how it goes, and it's my favorite song. Another shot out depression, and I know I'll be dancing, dancing alone. There is nothing left to fear.
And there is nothing left to fear.
Up here on my own.
All at once the air is clear.
The lights go down.
No.
Then the sun goes down and the light gets
And the lights get low. Feel like I'm losing my
like I'm
mind.
losing my mind.
I hear that sound,
and
away we go.
Feels like I'm losing.
Do you ever feel like that?
Yes.
No, not you. I wrote it about you.
No, you did not.
No, I didn't. No.
No, he did not.
You know, I'll tell you what I wrote it about. I got sick of writing all these happy, positive songs about how great life is, and nobody really wants to hear that shit. So I know other things. I know pain.
Happy, positive songs? That's what you think you write?
Well, not all of them. Why?
Hard time.
That's hard time. What is that? That's a message. That's don't screw it up, kid.
Well, they think that song should be on your solo album,
Which, Dancing Alone?
Dancing Alone.
Can you relate to that song, Dancing Alone?
It doesn't actually mean dancing.
Well, what it means is that when you drop into that place,
When you're sampling the glitch.
sampling the glitch,
When
another
your head is
another shot of
spinning.
depression. You know, it's a very singular, lonely place to be. Everybody goes there to greater and lesser degrees. And the time that I wrote that stuff, that's not all that old. That's 12 or no, 15. So that's not that old. It's 15 or 2016, something like that.
Mhm.
And it was very easy at that time to write a song about depression, or, you know, what it's like to dance alone, as they say. Anyway, you write what you know. And that's what I know.
Oh,
So it's part of what I know.
I'll tell you what Sue Lucente knows.
Ah, it was
She knows
suicide.
that Todd Rundgren's blue guitar was stolen.
Foamy?
That's the sea green one. Does he have a blue one besides
No,
that?
foamy. She's
Oh,
talking
that's
about
his favorite.
with the black scratch board.
I liked foamy.
You know, I have foamy's overcase in the shed.
Well, that would have been easier for somebody to steal it if it was in there.
No. This is the big wooden thing that goes around the flight case.
Oh,
I think it actually says foamy on it. I'm not sure how it wound up with us. It would have had to come here from New York.
well, that's how it wound up with us.
Well, no, I don't mean that. I mean how we got that piece of gear with nothing in it. It's not like it had a guitar in
Well,
it.
Sue said he posted it on Facebook.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does.
If you're watching out there, man, that sucks.
I don't think whoever stole it's watching though.
Hey, maybe they are. Are you
Well,
what?
you suck, bitch.
Give it back. Really? Don't steal somebody's instrument.
Don't steal anything.
Come on.
How about that?
You stole my heart.
That's different. That's
No,
different.
not really.
You wanted me to.
Yes, I did. But I had an ulterior motive.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, it worked out for everybody, right? 41 years? No?
Yeah. But you see, he says to me last night after we ate dinner, I made a good dinner. He said,
Yeah.
I did all right.
Yeah, you
You
did all
still
right.
look good and you cook good.
Still can't dance for shit, but
Like you want to dance.
I don't want to dance. I don't want to dance. And if you tried to sing, you could really sing, but ever since your school trauma, I realize that's off the table.
Well, I don't think that matters.
No, it doesn't. Not now.
No.
There's a time when you want to be in a band with your girlfriend because you know how cool it is, but it'll also screw it up. So don't do that.
Yeah.
And is Grandpa
Yeah,
Poopy
she
Head
said
in the
foamy.
house?
It's foamy.
Oh, that's, man.
Oh, that's a great guitar.
He's got to be heartbroken.
Grandpa Poopy Head is not in the house yet.
Oh.
Gotta wait a
That
little
sucks.
bit for that.
When did that happen? Did he say when that happened?
That his guitar got stolen?
Man, that's just the
It
worst.
was foamy, yep.
That's, well, so much for the No Gloom Ballroom, kids.
Well, we're still not glooming.
No, we're not glooming.
No.
Because he'll probably get it back. What are you going to do with foamy? You going to sell it?
That's a pretty identifiable guitar.
Well, it's foamy. I mean, it's like
We played it
it's,
on the Abbey Road tour with you.
yeah. It's a nice guitar. I mean, the thing about it is when I have had a few instruments over the years that just were the perfect thing for what I wanted to do with them. And I know what it's like to have that and then not have it anymore for whatever reason. My stuff never got stolen, but you know, you change from this and that. And to have something that it's like Nile Rodgers and Hitmaker. You know, that guitar has played on every record from Diana Ross to Duran Duran. And if anybody got that guitar, Nile would be heartbroken because it's just, you know, there are guys that have guitar collections that are insane. And I don't know whether Niall has that or not. I've never asked him about guitar collecting, but that's like the only guitar he really cares about is a hit maker, and it's a monster guitar. But listen, people's instruments, that's bad juju, man. Now
Yeah.
nothing good will come of that.
I told you that I was in New Orleans at Old Man Rivers, and B.B. King was playing there.
Oh yeah.
And somebody stole Lucille, and they put like an all points bulletin out, and they got it back.
Well, in New Orleans, they
Yeah,
stole Lucille.
Yeah.
That's more balls than a Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm.
In that town,
stole Lucille.
And they got it back.
Got it back.
How'd they get it back?
That night. I don't know. I really don't.
Powers of persuasion in the French Quarter.
Yeah.
I've been there. Not too much.
It's who you know, too. And the guy who owned the club, the father was like a senator or something.
Senator
He knew
Fancy
people.
Well, that's amazing. Well, I suppose someone has to really run the crime everywhere. I mean, you can't just go around being criminals.
No.
You need some organization. So listen, it's nice that there's some responsibility for and respect, even if it is on the minimal.
Somebody stole Rat Race's equipment. They didn't steal Steve's drums because
They're afraid I would kick their ass.
and the roadie said,
The roadie said that it fell out of the back of the truck. They forgot to close the door, and all these very expensive boutique amps and pieces of equipment and this and that and the other thing just happened to fly over where my drums were and wind up out on the street on Route 9 or something.
You never saw them on the street.
Never saw them on the street.
No,
and never got them back. I said, you know what?
But you heard from another roadie that they stole them.
Yeah, well.
There's that. They didn't steal your drums, though.
No, that was better for everybody.
Yeah. I remember Mark left his guitar in the parking lot of PJ's.
Right, and the car drove away and it was just sitting there?
Yeah,
did we see that? Or did we just know that?
I don't remember. He put it down, and there was like a car next to his, and it drove away, and his guitar is sitting in the parking lot. Nobody stole it.
No.
Luckily.
Man. And that's, that's another guy, Mark. When you have an instrument that works for you, all those things that Mark used to do when he would manipulate the axe wherever and, in proximity to the amp. And he had all this stuff, these moves, you know what I mean? Like Kobe Bryant or MJ. Hey, who's that? Oh, wow, Mark Clark. Hang on a second. Mark Clark. Clarky, how are you, bud?
I'm good, mate. Where are you? In your car?
No, I'm actually doing my live stream show. So you want to watch yourself? You can turn on the. I'm doing my show. You want me to call you back when it's over? I'm done at 8:00. Although we're on live now.
What are you zooming?
I'm zooming, yes, and my guest just got here.
Who's your guest?
It's who is
Robert
it?
Allen.
Yeah, Robert Allen, guitar player.
Oh, well, hello there.
Well, how do you do there? I'll call you back after the show.
Call me.
All right, I will do. Bye.
Kitty said, if they ever took Zippy, look out for me. I would attack. Meow.
I hear you. Well, I think Robert's here.
Robert's here? Well, Gail says they could never carry all of Steve's drums. It would take a gang.
Yeah, but if they took the right one, it would take a gang.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's coming in as Barbara.
How are you?
Good, Steve. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good. Everything's okay. Where in the world are you?
I'm in the Garden State, New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How's the weather up there?
It had been absolutely, it's like 80 yesterday. It was 60 today, and kind of going down to be cool, but then it's going back up into the 70s on the weekend. So it's been crazy.
Well,
But
listen, it's the Northeast. You never know what to expect.
that's it. No, it's actually the weather's been beautiful, so can't complain.
No, good, good.
Yeah.
And well, I was reading over the list, but I don't do the traditional. So you played with,
Right.
you know, that's not what this is. This is if we were on a show together, or if we were in a bar together, or if we were on a bus or whatever, a plane, an airport. It's that conversation.
Right.
So it's very free form. I just want to be sure that Angus did you get the questions?
Yes.
Those are at the end of the
They're
show.
at the end of the show.
Right.
But it's funny. The questions have caused a lot of turmoil with Angus. He was very challenged with the questions in the beginning, but he's doing a great job. So,
Yeah,
and did he tell me he knows you for a long time?
Yeah, he was playing bass with a guy he used to manage and work with, Bruce Engler. So
Uh,
that's where I first met him.
yeah, he's a good bass player.
Oh, he's a great bass player. I love Angus.
And so you came up in Jersey. Was that where it started for you?
Yeah, it's pretty much because I was always in the northeast corner, 25 miles from Midtown Manhattan, right across the bridge. So very convenient to get into the city in and out.
Yeah.
Originally from Maplewood, New Jersey, which is a little bit down from where I lived for like the last 40 years. We just moved down here into the Toms River area last year.
Yeah,
Tom's River's really
that's
nice.
nice, real
Yeah.
nice down there.
That's where Gary
Sites.
no
No,
the one that
more.
had the furniture store that gave us all the champagne for our wedding.
Cats.
Gary Katz lived.
See how that works? That's my wife and producer, Laurie.
I heard. Hi, how are you, Lori?
Good, how you doing, Robert?
Good.
It's very loose ship around here, man. So
Good.
we just
We just have fun.
yeah, we just have a good time. And it's so who was what was the band that that made the difference for you? And talk about that you were in. With
You're talking about a band that I was in, or like the Beatles being everybody's
no. The band in your life, in your career that turned the corner for you.
Well, I had it's a strange thing. So when I graduated high school, my whole goal was to go to college to find the band. And within the first 2 or 3 weeks in my dorm, I found another guitar player right next door to me and a bass player. And we had a band called Trilogy, which was probably 1,000 bands have been called Trilogy. And we started playing. We got I met my wife down on like the very first day of in college, and then we started. We were friends. We had a bunch of friends, and we would play at her dorm. And one of the other guitar player was going with her girlfriend, and one day she says, I babysit for a guy who he's looking for bands. He had a production company, and he had been part of Screen Gems with Don Kirshner, and matter of fact, he was credited on the first Monkees album.
Wow, that's
cool.
So that's a good keepsake.
Yeah, so we got this production deal, and went out to Levittown, Long Island, to our first recording, and that was and on the way out there, and I doubt I would be dating myself, but on the way out there, this song comes on the radio, and the big song at the time was Don McLean's American Pie, which I was after it's like a 7-minute song, and it got
I know it.
got to be on your nerves after a while.
Yep, after about the first 7 minutes.
I love that.
Yeah. But on the way there, we heard this song. It just turns out today is the anniversary of the album coming out. But this was before the album came out. It was a song called "Stairway to Heaven." That when you heard it, yeah, you had to actually almost pull the car over because you're like, "Did you hear the new Zeppelin?" It was like unbelievable. So that's kind of where I get my start, and from there, Trilogy becomes. I was doing coffee houses in the tri-state area, 4 or 5 states, and it becomes. I was in that band for like 10 years, and it ultimately becomes this band called the Tupelos.
What? I'm sorry. Say again. The what?
Tupelos.
The Tupelos.
Okay.
Based on, Elvis was born in Tupelo, Mississippi, so it was supposed to be it was right at that time when rockabilly was, restarting in the mid to late 70s when new wave was hitting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure,
we were.
That's when he came on the scene and kind of opened that up for everybody.
Yeah, well, so 1975, we were. It turns out that when we decided to, I moved back up because I originally was, it's now Rowan University in Glassboro, New Jersey, which is like 30 miles south of Philadelphia. So I was down there for like 4 or 5 years, and my wife and I got married down there, and then we decided to move up to North Jersey. She'd be with her family, and she was going to get a teaching job up there, and I wanted to start the band up there. So the other guitar player was up there at that time, and he had a friend from high school. He said, "Yeah, I know he's a bass player," and so we got him. We added a drummer, and the bass player's cousin turned out to be the manager of Patti Smith, and she had just gotten signed out of this place down in the Bowery called CBGB's.
Yeah, I've played it.
Yeah, so then we started playing down there, and that just when that whole scene started to happen.
Wow.
And Blondie, and matter of fact, we talk about rockabilly. Robert Gordon. He was the lead singer of a band called Tough Darts before he even went solo and started doing the rockabilly thing.
Yeah, no, I remember we had somebody who was on that played with Robert Gordon. It's like a revolving door, you know what I mean? And especially, I have a couple of brain cells left, but without notes, I'm lost. But let's talk about one of my favorite things. I saw you playing a really pretty looking Stratocaster.
1964 Strat.
Oh, is that the original finish?
No, actually, funny story. That guitar was, we were an acoustic band in college, and we started to want to play electric. And I needed a guitar, and my roommate was the bass player, and he says, "I got a friend who has this guitar. You want to check it out?" So it was a Fender Strat, and it was totally sanded down.
Oh,
Totally sanded down, and it was actually pretty cool looking. No shellac or anything, just sanded down. It must have been the original color must have been like the black yellow sunburst, and he wanted $135 for it, and when I said $125 for it, and when I said I wanted to buy it, he raised it to $150.
Oh,
so I had always thought the guitar was pre-CBS, like around October 1965. So I had the guitar, and I was very superstitious about it. I didn't want to put any paint on it or anything, because as the years go by, within 20 20 some years later, I mean, I guess just the maybe the rust on the pickups or something, but it had this phenomenal sound to it. It just got better with age, and I became very superstitious. But then somebody showed me they started doing the using the GM cars from the 50s, the old, the 57 Mercs and
Yeah, with the
all.
nitrocellulose.
And they had those, like turquoise and that kind of paint. But this guy said, no, yeah, but the guy that does this is up in New Hampshire, which would have meant me having to send the guitar or ship it up there. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So it's probably going on close to maybe 10 years now. There was I had a guy that was working on the guitars, and he said, I said, I'm thinking about painting. He goes, oh, there's a guy right down the street from you that does it. And so he was an artist, and I went to him and I said, yeah. He goes, yeah, pick out a paint. And I think I picked out like a 57 turquoise of a Mercury or something like that, and had it done. So when he's going to paint it, he had to take everything off. And when he took the neck off, he says, oh, here's the date. And in ink, it's written August 1964.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was even better than I thought.
That's great. I have a Strat story. It's not near that good, but
No.
I'm happy to share. I from New York, and we used to vacation down here in Florida, which is why I eventually moved. I figured less wear and tear on the car, and when we came down one time, I didn't bring any instruments with me, and I usually have a tape deck or something with me so that I can write. And I just didn't do it. And then I'm down here and I'm jonesing to play. So I went to Guitar Center, and they had this purple, like a frosted purple Strat.
Yeah, like a Remy Martin
Like-
model,
but purple with a white scratch board. Nice. And, I'm a Hendrix fan, so purple works for me. And I said, how much you want for this? And the guy said, well, they're asking 175, but if you really want it, I'll give it to you for $100. I'm like, absolutely, right? I'm playing, it plays nice, and it's a Mexican Strat, not a Korean or whatever. It's a Mexican, right? So years later, and I love this guitar, and I can't believe how good it plays. My guitar player set it up, and it's like he likes recording with it. And so I had one of my crew down here, and I said, he said to me, we were loading out of my studio, and he sees the guitar and he goes, do you know what that is? And I said, yeah, I know. I know very well what that is. He said, no, I don't think you do. I said, what do you mean? He said, that's an American Strat.
Well, he owned a music store.
He owned a music store, and the story goes, I mean, I've never taken it apart or verified it, but this is what he told me, and it always felt special. He said they were selling that finish. There were three finishes: the purple, a kind of a greenish, and a reddish, like dulled out, almost maroon looking, but frosted. And he said, and the factory in Mexico burned down, and they had to fill the orders with American Strats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Folklore.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have no reason to doubt him, but it's like, I'm not looking to sell it anytime soon. I love it.
I know that when I was doing this record in like 2010, and it was really the start of my Downtown Mystic project, and it was a lot of country rock songs, and I thought, I really need a Telecaster. So I had a Telecaster one time, and I traded it in for something else, and so there was there were two Guitar Centers and a Sam Ash within like 2 or 3 miles of each other. And I go and I pick up this telly, and it just feels really good. But it's like, you know what? I try every telly in that store. I go to another guitar, try every one in that. I go to the Sam Ash, And I found out that the real difference was, the American tellies were going for 1,000, and the Mexican ones were going for like 600. But the Mexican ones, you felt like you were going to get splinters playing them. They don't, file down the frets and all. I mean, you get what you get, and it was like, I literally tried probably 20 guitars, and I came back to the very first one and was just like, no, this is the guitar.
But that's confirmation, no matter what. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting. I have never gone through that. I guess I used to go through that with cymbals, trying the different ones out to see what. But I imagine it's very personal, and how the axe works for you and how you work for the axe or with the axe, and you're like an analog guy, right? I mean, you're an old wires and tubes guy.
Oh yeah.
And why? Just not for my. I mean, I know why, but somebody's.
Yeah, well, it's just that I'm old. So it's like I'm not. What? Digital is great and all, but you just can't get the same sound that you can out of I have a 1975 twin reverb, which is that's the sound that I hear, and then I buy a Vox AC30, and it was like, oh my God, why was I playing a twin all these years?
No, well, I get that. I mean, I played with a guitar player that used 2 stacks of high watts, and so I know something about your need or his need to feel that you can't just hear it can't just sound like it. It's not gonna move you into the sound. And Mark used to have to, I mean, if it wasn't right on the edge of blowing up, he couldn't get his sound, so it's
Right.
and so no, I mean, I get that. That's not really old. There's young players that understand the value of the vintage stuff. Nothing sounds like that.
Dave Grohl,
No.
vintage.
You talk about so I had been working out of Showplace Studios in Dover, and it's funny because Showplace I played there opening up for Robert Gordon one time and Elliot Murphy another time. It was a rock and roll club. And then
I know that, right? I mean, you have to know. Was Joe Berger doing sound back then?
He probably was.
And Larry was the owner, right?
Larry's the owner, and then Ben Elliott came in the early '90s, and he was the one that put the studio. They actually cut the bar in half, and they made half of the bar became a go-go bar, and on the other side was a studio.
Yeah, I recorded. I produced a Leslie West track in that studio.
Yeah. Leslie worked there with Ben, and so I worked with Ben for like 20 years. And unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I had. I was talking. Let me see. I guess it's 2019 or 2020.
Leslie?
No, Ben, the engineer.
And he said he called me. It was the middle of January, and he said because we both had health problems. And he said, yeah, he goes, I haven't really been telling anyone, but I have lung cancer, and he goes, they're going to try, and I have to go in the next week, and I'm hoping they can get it. And I was like, well, there's some amazing drugs out there, man, that I know somebody that's had the same thing, and they gave him this drug, and all of a sudden it cured him. So don't give up hope on it. And he was saying at the same time that his partner was selling the studio, gave him till March to get out.
Oh.
So you got a guy who's dying, and at the same time, the place that he built and has lived in for 20 years, I'm just thinking the stress alone is going to kill this poor guy. And then he said, Savoy Brown was coming in to do a session. And I saw him putting up pictures so I figured everything was good. And then I guess it was like early April. I had a cousin that suddenly passed. And when my wife was looking on Facebook, she goes, I think Ben died.
Oh,
And
man.
yeah, so it was just a sudden kind of thing. And, with COVID and all, there was no, there's no
Hey, man,
closure.
it's coming for everybody. So enjoy the time you got.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't
So,
don't know.
so I had, that had been my home to record for the last 20 years. And I'm thinking, I had just moved down here, and it hits me one day that Shorefire Studios in Long Branch, which is about a half hour north of me, and I had worked in the 80s there with Gary Talent from the East Street Band, because he was a co-owner of the place.
Ah,
And I did. I have a Downtown Mystic on East Street record that's with Gary and Max playing with me. And the only reason why I had never thought about that place, because back then he had this MCI board, which was just horrible. But Gary sold the place in '95, and this new owner, Joe DeMeo, had taken over, and I had been working with Stevie D. Acutis. I don't know if you know Stevie
he
D.
mastered Stevie just mastered a record of mine that just dropped days ago.
Oh, great. So he's good buddies, and he said, yeah, give Joe a call. So I thought, and I said to him, I said, do you still have that MCI board? He goes, no. He goes, I have one of the last Helios boards that was made. And Helios was the board that was in Trident Sound, where Zeppelin cut their records on and the Stones cut their records on. The Helios board was put in Apple Studios by the Beatles. So this thing I've been working there since January, and you talk about analog sound. I mean, this is the sound that I've been looking for the last. And Showplace was great because he had it was a Mozart board, which was kind of based, a make of a Neve.
Yeah, I love the Neve. That's my weapon of choice.
Yeah, and Stevie D's, he put in a Neve board for his mastering and mixing. But yeah, I know that you have the release with John Entwistle on Deco.
Right,
So
exactly.
you know Charlie Calv.
Very well. Yeah.
I managed Charlie's band, Shotgun Symphony.
Man, if I emphasize one thing to the people that watch, it's what a small business we're in. Now, you're talking about the Dover and the Showplace in Dover. I mean, I know New Jersey by the clubs. If you tell me, Orange, I'm going to say Dodds or whatever.
That's right. There you go.
And because I did all that stuff, and yet you and I probably glanced off each other 100 times and never knew it. Right, down the street or in a club, out of a club, and the thing that, when I started doing this live stream, I wanted to give or offer something that you just don't get anywhere. And that's two lifers, pros, just talking about stuff, not an interview, not, hey, I'm cool, you're cool. It's what we do, because what we do is so special and unique. If you're going to do it for your life, you have to be wired for that. I mean, you have to be programmed to do this. And anybody that I ever knew that was a lifer, they had no choice. It's like, you don't have a choice. It's not like, well, okay, maybe I'll stop doing this. No, it doesn't work like that for us. So, and that's a special breed of person, I mean, guys that choose to make a living doing something that they love, regardless of the cost. That's, it's easy to do it when things are great and rolling hard, but you know, it's not without its challenges. So, you know, I mean, it's always great to talk to somebody, especially somebody that I don't know for years and years and years. We come from the same place, probably about the same time.
Right.
You know, and
We're probably carrying equipment out, and when the other guy was walking in the front door.
exactly, or yeah, or you may have lent me a lighter one night. Who knows?
Right, yeah.
But it's, you know, we were part that whole 70s. You know, I started the band that I ran with started in 68, and we had a pretty good run for about 20 years. And, you know, I know what it's like to devote yourself to that.
Right.
And, you know, we were part of something amazing. Guys, when I first started to do the show, I said, you know what, I'm going to have my friends on, or I'm going to have guys that I'd like to meet, or guys that I might just, you know, I'm
Right.
going to talk to people I haven't talked to in 20 years. Like if I, you know, and I said this the other day on an interview, if I just called up Steve and said, hey, Steve, it's Steve. How you doing, man? He'd be like, yeah, okay, good, Steve. What do you want, man? You know, and stuff, people come to my mind all the time. So when the opportunity to do this was, Steve was one of the first people I called and had on the show. And it was so much fun because it was second only to meeting in person on the road, which is what I'm trying to get to, you know. So that's, you know, that's why I'm out here in space, orbiting the planet, as all good drummers do, and staying true to what we do. So what's now? What do you know? What's you obviously got on the other side of COVID?
Yeah.
What you know? Are you playing? Are you recording? What's going on?
I'm recording. I'm my project is I'm on a particular this is a time of my life where it's basically every day becomes a gift, because when I was talking to Ben, we were, you know, he's saying I got lung cancer, and I said, yeah, well, I'm going for a stem cell transplant in 3 months, because I had I was recording with Steve D in October of 2018, and I went for a physical a couple weeks after I got out of the studio. And I had this problem where I noticed that my hemoglobin is going down and down and down to the point where it's like it's becoming transfusion time, and I have no energy. And they say, well, your test came back and you have MDS. And I said, well, what's MDS? And they said, well, that's what they used to call pre-leukemia. So when I went to the leukemia specialist, he said, good news is there's a cure for MDS. It's a stem cell transplant or a bone marrow transplant. And so, they got me healthy enough so that in May of 2019, I had the stem cell transplant. And so it took me a good, and the weird thing about it is I was just coming out of, because when you get a stem cell transplant, you spend 6 days prior to the transplant, them killing off your immune system so that the transplant will give you a new immune system. So when you actually have the day of the transplant, all the nurses come in with these balloons that say happy birthday and all, because you now have the immune system of a newborn baby. So I have to get all my vaccinations, you know, measles shots, like every vaccination I had when I was 3 years old. I have to go through all that again.
Wow, man, that's shit. That's I wonder why Keith Richards just didn't do that.
You know what? Like Keith says, he's when his daughters die, he's going to get all their money.
Yeah, he's man. Listen, you know what? I had a very wise man tell me, until it's your time, you're invulnerable. So
right, you know. So, and the weird thing about it, what I was saying, that when you because you have immune, and the weird thing about it, what I was saying, that when you because you have immune, and the weird thing about it, what I was saying, that
what's echoing here? Oh, there we go, man. Well, that was my fault. Sorry. The worst thing about it is
So you have a new immune system, and when you come out of the hospital, you actually have to be in a bubble for 100 days. You have to wash. My wife had to wash everything, and she went to the store, wash all the vegetables, everything, clean the house. I mean, you cannot have any germs of any kind. And so the ironic thing is, wearing masks and gloves, and towards the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, we're just starting to go out again to diners and all. And all of a sudden, COVID hits, and everybody's walking around with gloves and masks, and it's like, what?
Yeah, yeah, but think about this. See, I'm the silver lining guy. Think about this. Think about being in the height of the COVID era and having to go and be in a hospital for all that time, exposed to all that stuff for all that time, having your immune system depleted. I would, I'd call that a lucky page in that book, all things considered. I mean, there's a lot of shit that can happen to us in a day or a year or
Yeah.
whatever, but wow, I mean, just think about that. 6, 8 months later, that would have not been the time to have that done. And I'm glad I'm glad you recovered from that. That's
And
amazing.
all the while I was doing it, I have a project called Downtown Mystic, and it's funny. There's a reviewer that he's actually based in Italy, but the magazine's called Jam Sphere. And Rick Jam is the guy's name, and he does these great reviews for independent artists. So I had originally been scheduled to go into the hospital in April of 2019, and I had planned a release of a single for like 2 days before I had the transplant. So I was getting a review in the magazine, and he wrote me and he says, somebody had the cover, but his CD fell through, so he had to cancel. He goes, I think you're really deserving of it, and so I'm putting you on the cover of the magazine. And the day before I had to leave, and luckily I had gotten sick, so they delayed it until May. And the day before I had to go into the hospital, the magazine arrives with my cover. I'm on the cover of the magazine. And it was like such a positive thing. I took it with me. And so every time a doctor or a nurse visited, I'd say, hey, I bet you didn't think you had a celebrity for a patient. And they were like, what are you talking about? I said, hey, check this out. And I'd show them the cover, and they'd be like, is that you? Oh my God. It was and then the orderlies, and then when I would have to get exercise after I'd be walking around the halls, and they would put my music on from Spotify through the so I'd be walking around listening to myself in the halls of the wing. It was pretty amazing.
That's great.
How music just gives you this positive vibe. So I had been thinking about, like, okay, now that I'm moved, I'm free, I'm going to go back to Showplace, to Shorefire Studios is going to go back there for the first time in like 35 years. And I go in with probably guys, Steve Holly on drums, and
Oh, sure. Great player.
Paul Page on bass. And we cut, a bunch of tracks, and I've been recording, and I'm still mixing. I'm going in tomorrow to do some more mixing. So that's and I have a single out right now called Superstar. It's the To Sir Elton with Love mix. It's a throwback to like CBGB's 1975 meets Bowie and Mark Bolan and T-Rex
Cool.
Yeah,
kind of
I like
thing.
that.
Yeah, and it's I've got it on. It's in 20 countries right now on over 50 stations, and we're hitting the AAA.com, the AAA non-com stations are already getting on it in the States.
So, all right, we don't have to talk about years, but you've been in this business a while, right? You mentioned
Way. Yeah.
I've been in a little bit myself, and I just got a thing that Charlie forwarded to me where the record that I just produced is like number 13 opened at number 13 on Amazon's whatever it is.
Right. Is that cool?
That's all
Right.
right. I mean, come on, man. This
Yeah.
is it's like round 3. Let's go.
Now, Robert, where
Right.
can people get your record?
Yeah, where can we
Oh,
find
you
it?
can get it on anywhere, Amazon, Apple, all the streaming services, Spotify, and it's all. I have my company is Shala Music, and it's a digital. I go through the Orchard, Sony Music, and so I've been doing that for quite a bit. Started the music thing as a musician, and decided, and as I was getting to my mid-30s, like the club scene is becoming a little too old, so I'll start my own publishing company. And from there, it morphed into management. Somebody called me and said, "Hey, you ever hear this band called Shotgun Symphony?" I said, "No, why?" He goes, "Oh, they're from New Jersey. You should check them out." And I ended up managing them for 3 or 4 years. That's how I met Charlie.
It's an incredible business that way, man. I mean, and the thing about it that it's like you go knock on the door, show the tattoo, and you're in. You know what I mean? If you're one of us, you're one of us, and it's there's no
And I just did the 25th anniversary release of their album "Forget the Rain." I got the CDs to Charlie. He's selling the CDs at Deco, and I'm doing the digital side of things.
I'll tell you what. I mean, here, Charlie. I just got a box from Charlie the other day. It's a great label. I've been considering putting out some John stuff for years. I've been being asked by fans, is there anything else or anything else? And the truth is, I've got a barrel full of stuff that we had started, or that, so on and so forth. And, I just didn't want to schlock it out there. And Deco and Charlie and Bruce and the whole team, everybody's got their back in it. And I thought, this is a good home for this stuff. And so far, so good. Oh, yeah, there's that. And
the great thing about it is, somebody asked me on one of the podcasts, like, what do I conceive of success? And I said, you know what? For me, success is at my age to be able to go into a studio, record something, and then actually put it out and know that it's going to get radio play around the world. I said, I couldn't do that 30 years ago. Are you kidding?
Yeah, well, it wasn't. Yeah, you were still dealing with 30 years ago, man. That was like Napster time, wasn't it? Or was it even there?
No, I mean, you're going back to just the majors controlled everything.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You were at the mercy of some A&R guy saying, yeah, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hear you. I mean, but the indie thing started to happen. Listen, the business. We've been in it long enough. Collectively, we've probably been in it close to 100 years. Right? I got that.
That's not an exaggeration either.
No, in fact, I think I fell short a little bit. You want to up the number? Good, because I mean, it could be 110 years.
Yeah, right.
All right. Anyway, listen, we stay in it, and the things that we do to stay in it, sometimes, they lead us right back. I mean, you're still playing, you still have your acts, you still do what you love, regardless of what path you took. That's success.
Yeah,
success is not. Let me tell you what. I have a lot of very, very successful friends, and in its own way, what we do is much better because we don't owe anything. We don't. We're not beholden to some big machine, no pun intended,
right,
that guides our career. We're like, free agents. So it's, it's pretty cool.
It's very cool because, and, now because of the, within the last 15, 20 years of the, just have, when I was managing Shotgun, if I wanted to get, I used to go to Midam
Oh,
in
sure.
France, and you'd have to send a fax to try and set up a meeting with somebody. I went to meet him like about 10 years ago, and it was all you can make appointments online before you got there. And I was looking for a licensing deal, and I got one in Germany. So it was like, because of the experience, it's like I know all the shortcuts now that I didn't know what I didn't know back then.
Exactly. That makes you all the more valuable to whatever musical partners you hook up with, because you've got that knowledge on board. And I think, that's the one thing that I think all of us, young or old, or young or seasoned, I don't try to use the old word. I'd rather stay away.
Classic.
Yeah, classic, mature. We can do any of those. But I think the thing that we have in common is the purity of what we do. I mean, and why we do it and how we do it. And that's why the respect goes from generation to generation. And it's,
if you're not doing it for the music, then you're really wasting your time.
well, that's right. I don't remember ever not being a musician. I'm sure at 3 years old, I was not a musician, but I don't ever have a conscious, I was playing drums from the time I heard them in elementary school. I was banging on something, and I just knew. But that's our journey, and I love what we do. And I think the respect and being in the club for your whole life, that's all the success any of us really need. That's all the validation, man, because you keep getting called back, you keep working, you keep playing, and you keep creating. So anyway, on that happy note, here they come. I know you forgot about the questions. I know you forgot all about them. Don't look at that page. Don't look at it. Don't look. All right, you've been on the road here and there. This is my favorite question in a way, because it's got to do with food. Your favorite restaurant on the road? You're going to Mississippi. I can't wait to eat at Grandma's.
Well, it's I'm a big fan of diners, and we have a couple great ones here. Just coming out of the city through the Lincoln Tunnel, back on Route 3, stop right 10, 15 minutes up the road in Clifton is the TikTok Diner. It's
TikTok Diner. We went to there.
It's a landmark.
Birthday diner?
Yes, that's happy birthday.
We call that the birthday diner.
Yeah,
Because I took her there on her birthday, and on the jukebox they have "Happy Birthday," and it says "Happy Birthday, dear."
And you sing the
So yeah,
Yeah, we've been there.
in there.
Like that.
it's a landmark. But I found a great diner. It's on the outskirts of Salt Lake City, going to Park City. It's called Ruth's Diner.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those places that you don't forget.
Oh, that's great. Ruth's Diner. All right.
We'll write that down.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Now, this pertains primarily to live performance. You've played countless gigs, but when that song is on the set list, it's your favorite song to play live. What's that song?
Geez. For me, we were an original band, so we had a song that we closed with called "Rise and Fall," which it was very strange because it was a favorite, and then it became a one of those "oh my God" kind of things, because we were discovered. We used to play in a place called JP's up on the upper east side on 76th and First Avenue. The very next block is Catch a Rising Star. And JP's Jimmy Poulos, the late Jimmy Poulos, he owned the place. He lived upstairs, and across town, down from the Dakota on Columbus Avenue, he had a showcase club called Tracks, which was big in the late 70s.
Played there.
Yeah. So everybody used to, I mean, literally, I ran into Billy Joel, Mick Jagger. I mean, anybody came into these places to hang out at JP's or tracks, one or the other. And so one day we had done a single and an actual 45 back in the day. And I knew I was trying to, this was a place I knew that not only did rock stars hang out, but also big time, VPs of A&R and, guys like that. And so I said, I'm going to just put my CD, my 45 on the tables as a calling card, let people pick them up. And at the end of the night, one of the waitresses comes up to me and says, could I have a single for my boyfriend? And I was the thing, I was already handing it to her when it kind of just like clicked. I said, oh, by the way, who's your boyfriend? And she goes, Gary Talent. And I went, from the E Street Band? And she goes, yeah. And one of the songs was a cover of, we did a version of Sweet Little 16, Chuck Berry's Sweet Little 16. Next time we played a club, she goes, oh, Gary loved the record. He wants to meet you. So we were playing, it was just a few weeks before Christmas. This is like 79. And the closing song was this jam of Rise and Fall. And Gary came down to see us. And I said to him before the show, I said, I don't think bad of me, but we're firing the bass player after the show. And he says, oh, okay, I should just keep that in mind. And because on Rise and Fall, it would get into a jam, and all of a sudden the bass player one day, and then he started doing it every time, he would jump out and he would almost do like a limbo where he's like bending his back and he's pounding the bass, and and we were just, when he did it the first time, we were like, oh my God. So now it was like every time we did the song, it was like, what the hell's going to happen? And so he goes into this thing, and after the show, Gary says to me, he goes, Robert, he goes, I'm a bass player. So I have a thing, I was a soft spot in my heart for bass players, but I got to tell you, that's the worst bass player I've ever seen in my life. So it was a blessing and a curse, that song.
That's your favorite song to play live?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. So and maybe it's the answer to the next question, because that would be, what's your least favorite song to play live?
Well, I'm really dating myself, but I got to tell you, the song that I really hated, because you're talking about the glory days of the 70s in Jersey, and talking about, Jersey was not known for its original bars. But in the 70s, particularly the mid to late 70s, you could play basically 24/7 in the cover scene. And, Dodds Orange was, the tops of that thing. So in that time period, the song that when we were a cover band for a couple of years in that scene, and the song, and I'm dating myself, but it's like, if I never hear Freebird again, it'll.
Dating yourself.
Yeah, Sandy Gennaro say that. Freebird.
Yeah, Sandy Gennaro said about Freebird.
Yeah.
Listen, this is not a kids show. I'm just telling
okay.
you. You want to pull out our driver's licenses and do the.
Harry Styles,
Harry
Styles is not.
Yeah, Harry Styles is not here. All right, so all right, well, I think Freebird qualifies.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This is
the most popular one that people don't want to play is Brown Eyed Girl. I think we've had what?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
We've had a lot of Brown Eyed Girls,
yeah.
And musically, but I digress. All right, this is I like this question. When I decided to do the show, I had to figure out a way to wrap it. You can't just do, well, okay, see ya. So I wanted to come up with some questions that would, make everybody kind of think a little bit about what it is. And, I mean, what's your favorite color wasn't one of them. So my question is, you're a guitar player, a serious guitar player. If you
Yeah.
could be amazing at any other instrument besides your own, I mean, like, you know what I mean. What would it be?
It's probably piano.
Ah,
I love, I did this, I don't know if you know him, but he has a studio down out of Surefire. His keyboard player by the name of Jeff Levine, who he toured with Cocker, and I mean he's played with everybody, Fogerty.
no, I know who he is. I
Oh,
don't know him very well, but
but he came in, and I needed I just I can play chords, but this guy was like Leon. Yeah, it was like he just came in and just did these things that I started on a B3, and it went from there, and it was just I like one of those kind of
now
guys who,
when you get a guy, and I don't know if the people, if all of the people know this, but when you get a guy who plays actual piano, not electric piano, not synth piano, grand piano with the strings and the hammers, which is a percussion instrument, by
yeah,
the way, because of the hammers, that action, that you really have to work that action. Whereas a B3 is like a toy keyboard compared to that. So, and the techniques that those guys like Jimmy Smith and Felix Cavalier or any of those, any of the guys, the real soulful
Steve Winwood.
Stevie Winwood, yeah.
those guys, for them to transition back and forth from piano to keyboards and still have that integrity on each instrument, that's impressive to me. So I get that, and that's it's the total instrument. You can
Yeah, it is. And that's what John Lennon said, it's the entire orchestra.
Well, right, because and as my mother, because I grew up with a Steinway in our house, and my mother played,
Oh,
and she told me that the 88 keys on a full keyboard were representative of every pitch and timbre in the orchestra. There's nothing higher than the high note, and there's nothing lower than the low note. So, unless we're talking about dubstep, but that's totally different. All right. The last big question, and this is, fun. If you could play one show, or if you wanted to go in the studio, we could, do that too. If you could do one session or play one gig with anybody or any combination of guys, living or dead, who would it be?
yeah, I know. I think about, there's always that thing about because of who he is. And it's like, when you're working on a song and you're thinking to yourself, oh man, what would Paul do? What would Paul play on this? McCartney is just one of those kind of guys that anything, whether he came into the studio to that would be my dream thing, is like if I could have Paul McCartney play bass on one of my songs, it would be, died and went to heaven.
That's a good one.
Maybe you could get him to sing too.
Well,
Well,
Robert might-
just getting him into the studio would be
But this is my show. It's your wish. I'm telling you, whatever you want, man. That's the beauty of this show, because it's not going to happen. But whatever you want Paul singing in the studio on your track, it's done.
Well, I'm glad you're Santa Claus.
Well, that's what I'm out here. I'm trying to find my sled. Man, listen, this has been a blast, and I should tell you about Free for All Friday if Angus didn't already. and you'll have a blast in there because we have a lot of Jersey people.
Yeah, a lot of
you would
people
do,
from Jersey.
you got to come in on Friday anytime. You can come in for 5 minutes, come in for the whole hour, do whatever you want. It's usually anywhere from like 6 to 12 people in there, and a lot of Jersey people. I mean, it's
cool.
Oh, it's great. I'm telling you, you'll be doing the G. Oh, did you play here? Yeah, I played there. Towpath. Yeah, believe me, it'll be fun. You'll enjoy yourself, and you're welcome any Friday. We get guys calling in from gigs before they go on. It's funny, man. It's really a good,
Nice.
good time. So yeah, I'll have Angus remind you, and you're welcome any Friday, anytime for as long as you want. And we're glad to have you a part of the family now, man.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here, and continued success with the project and everything else. And please, come back. And if you can, let us know, give us links to whatever you're doing, and we'll promote for you, because that's, what it is.
Okay, super.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you so
Bye,
much,
Robert.
man. Take care of yourself. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
All right. What are those people laughing at?
They're having a good time.
They're watching the show on a big screen.
Let's give it up for Robert Allen.
Man, come on, that was cool, right?
Yeah.
And you think about it, I can't. We could probably go club for club to the places that we played, and
The Children of the Lawn loved them.
you did, right, children?
Yeah, they did. That makes us happy.
We want you to, we want you to know the good stuff. We want you to hear the good stuff, and we want you to eat the good stuff, which I can smell cooking in the other room. What is that?
That's the chicken.
That chicken.
That chicken.
Oh,
The one with, the seasoning and the garlic and the butter.
that chicken with the
With some baked
seasoning and the garlic and
potatoes.
the butter with some baked potatoes, and that's enough.
And remember, tomorrow night, Wilding on
Wilding on
Wednesday.
Wednesday. You never know what you're going to get on Wednesday. Right?
That's right.
Okay, because we don't know either. So if I don't see you in the future, I'll see you in the pasture.
Good night, everybody.
Take care, kids.